So we're going to run this part of the service here in the tent, and the second part will be the wreath laying at the memorial. Her Majesty's Lifeguard is riding past and saluting the memorial at the moment. Thank you very much. And now please resume your seats. We will begin with words of introduction from our chairman, Inderjeet Singh. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Tim. I'm sorry about the weather. Somebody forgot to send me an email up somewhere. But it's better than last week, eh? I suppose those who fought in the trenches, this is nothing compared to that we have to review this morning. So I'm really grateful for all of you sort of getting together into this small space. Your Excellencies, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege and an honour as Chair of the Memorial Guest Council to welcome you all from diverse range of communities and the representative communities from across the Commonwealth. As the window of the centenary of the World War I comes to an end this year, we commemorate the contribution of soldiers from the Caribbean who fought so valiantly in the campaigns across France, Italy, Sinai, Egypt, Gaza to Palestine. The British West Indian Regiment, at its core, its standard is featured here today amongst two others, kindly lent to us by Mr. Barnes of the why West Indians are in this country project. On the thank you front, we are also grateful to the St. John's Ambulance for their continued presence here, the great many supporters, including the Ramgarhia Sikh Gurdwara Slough, council members who have worked tirelessly to make this happen today, and to you all for joining us to honour the memory of the 5 million men and women in the 2 world wars. For your tomorrow, we gave our today. It is therefore fitting that we have the Secretary General of the Commonwealth British of Scotland, who many will know is not only a great friend of the Memorial Gates, but also working tirelessly to welcome the 53 leaders of the Commonwealth that arrive in London very shortly. We also welcome the High Commissioner of Jamaica, His Excellency Mr. Seth George Ramokon, who will enrich us with their respective address this morning, followed by the chaplain to the Speaker of the House of Commons, Reverend Rose Hudson Wilkin, for which we remain grateful. I want to take you back to 1914, a year when a certain gentleman, Norman Manley, studying on a Rhodes Scholarship from Jamaica at the University of Oxford, along with his brother, volunteered to serve in the armed forces. He not only faced hostility of the enemy, but racism from the rank of his fellow officers. I'm sure the speakers that follow will talk about Norman Manley and others in their address. One veteran, Sir Antine Dupek, wrote of the consciousness of discrimination against native troops which black soldiers felt in the army at the time, coupled with a strong growing movement at home with eminent writers such as Marcus Garvey leading the way. Fast forward to 2018, what strikes me about conversations with young people on the Great War is that they ask the question, what has really changed? When you see post-Brexit, the descendants of the 5 million men and women in the UK being questioned about their loyalty and for being here. When you hear a young Sikh having his turban ripped off outside the House of Commons by a man shouting racist abuse only 2 weeks ago. 6 black men randomly shot in Italy leading up to the last week's general election. Germany, Sweden, Austria, amongst other countries, electing far-right parties in huge numbers. Some in this country point to the toxic nature of the Brexit debate that targeted minority communities that led to the murder on the streets of Britain of Joe Cox, Member of Parliament. These are the same forces that led the 5 million to volunteer from the Empire to fight against tyranny, fascism, and for human rights. So it is poignant to point out that the recent Hollywood blockbuster, such as Dunkirk, failed to acknowledge the contribution of the Empire soldiers that we have seen completely airbrushed out of the British narrative, or the world narrative for that matter. It is a testimony to Lady Feather, on whose watch these memorial gates were built, as a reminder we also served. The many will remember Mary Seacole. You'll be familiar with the name, the great nurse and entrepreneur, active in setting up a hotel for the injured soldiers behind enemy lines during the Korean War. The list is endless. I could continue. The time is short. Talking of Hollywood, I also wish to put on record the remarkable women of colour we celebrate the suffragette centenary this year for the fight for women to have the vote. Perhaps it is not well known is that Princess Sophia Dalip Singh, daughter of Maharaja Dalip Singh and that goddaughter of Queen Victoria, was not only a volunteer helping a nurse in a makeshift Brighton hospital during World War I, but she was at the forefront of the suffragette movement in this country. Again, Hollywood has failed to include her in their narrative and brushed her out of the narrative and the annals of history. This makes the work of organizations such as ours and yours working in this space even more important, so that we together fight this ever stronger tide of ignorance, prejudice, racism, and injustice with tools like education and awareness. In so doing, those are honored at these gates. World War I decorated soldiers from 1911. Before then, there were no medals apart from the usual battalion medals that were awarded to them. Lala, J. Smythe, J. Simpson, F.A.D. Pass, F. Butler, W. Hewitt, Kulbir Thapa, W. Bruce, G.T.M. Wheeler, Khudat Khan, Gabbar Singh Nagi, Karan Bahadur Rana, Mir Das, E. Jotham, F.C. Booth, W. Fools, Badullah Singh, G.C. Wheeler, Chatta Singh, Gobind Singh, W. Bloomfield, Shah Ahmad Khan, Darwan Singh Nagi. These are the VC holders who are featured in our memorial gates, a testimony to their valor. Our great friend Ben Okri, who should be amongst us, but I haven't seen him this morning, he is there. The memorial gates adorn his words. Turn on your light. Our future is greater than our past. In remembering some of the great poets like Wilfred Owen, who remembered before he died in the First World War, Rabindranath Tagore, and his verse in Gita Anjali, when I leave, let these be my parting words. What my eyes have seen, what my life received, are unsurpassable. Tagore, who after the massacre at Jallianwala Bagh in 1919, returned his knighthood to the Queen. I thank you.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Commonwealth friends, happy Commonwealth Day. It's my great privilege to be able to add my words on behalf of all 53 countries of the Commonwealth. It is a deeply moving moment that we gather here together on a rainy day, but with the flames of the memorial gates in this centenary year of the 1918 armistice. It's particularly poignant for me because my grandfather fought in that war, and he fought with Allenby. So we remember all who came together in friendship, in community, and with one spirit, because the threats that were facing our world were even more dire than the threats that face us now. And yet the peoples of the Commonwealth came from the 5 regions to stand together for liberty, for freedom, and to deliver peace to our generation. So we honour the lives, the service, and the sacrifice of those unnumbered men and women from all 5 regions of the Commonwealth who, as members of our armed and auxiliary services, served in the First and the Second World Wars. We remember those who answered the call and were willing to give all in order to keep alive the flame of freedom. And we remember they were all volunteers, not conscripts. They lived and died to defend the values that we in the Commonwealth hold dear, and they prevailed. As we honour the service and sacrifice of those who went before us, and some who still suffer from the scars of conflict, we are reminded of our duty to guard and to cherish the precious flame and to hand on the torch of freedom. For all who pass through them, these gates stands as a monument to men and women from across the Commonwealth who, in their rich diversity, join together in common cause. The work of the Commonwealth today is their living memorial. In the diverse yet comparable context of Commonwealth countries, set in every continent and ocean, we cooperate to stimulate innovation. Through inclusiveness and reciprocity, reciprocal involvement, we accelerate the rate at which clever ideas are assimilated and adopted. The Commonwealth is particularly well placed to bring progress and make things work better because our people are so readily able to share ideas at every level. We cooperate, provide mutual support, and are capable of working together easily and of rising above difference and above division, because shared inheritances have made our systems of law, government, and education very similar, and we speak a common language. The Commonwealth Charter sets out our values, continues to inspire a sense of service and common purpose in the lives of Commonwealth young people today and the youth of rising generations. In little more than a month from today, at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting and associated forums, leaders and representatives of the 53 of our member states will assemble here in London to work and plan together. We represent 2.4 billion people, 60% of whom are under the age of 30. We represent 1/4 of the world's landmass, 78% of its oceans, and we, as guardians of those lands, stand in solidarity together. And we will share and learn from one another and be motivated to ever greater heights of endeavour and achievement. Our theme will be towards a common future. This memorial brings home with striking solemnity the ties of kinship and affinity that bind us together as a global family. Cooperation between member states of the Commonwealth, among the Commonwealth citizens at many levels and in countless practical ways, continues to open up new and wider opportunities in which we all can share. Together in the Commonwealth, we work to build a future that is fairer, more prosperous, and more sustainable, and more secure. In practical ways and with determination, we support and encourage one another towards communities that are inclusive, with respect and honour for the dignity of each and every one of our fellow citizens. Our individual and collective memories and our shared commitment are drawn together in the simple yet deeply inspiring words that you just heard recited from Ben Oakley, and I'm so pleased Ben is here with us today. And I don't hesitate to repeat what is on one of the pillars inscribed, Ben's words: our future is greater than our past. And it's important when we think about our challenges to remember not just how great our past was, but how that puts a huge burden on each of us to make sure that our future will be even greater. I recall too the wise words of Her Majesty the Queen, head of the Commonwealth, when speaking of the complexity of our history with its many layers and traditions. Her Majesty referred to the importance of forbearance and conciliation, of being able to bow to the past, but not being bound by it. Let that spirit and the lives of those we honour inspire us today and always as we work to build a safer world, a stronger, ever more inclusive Commonwealth, and towards our common future. Let those who went before us know that we are worthy to stand on their shoulders. And I thank every single person who serves today, who serves together as a Commonwealth, because we will, if we choose, stand tall and make sure that our future is a good one.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is certainly for me a privilege to participate in this commemorative wreath-laying ceremony being held here at the Memorial Gates. This memorial stands as a lasting tribute to the courage, bravery, and sacrifice made by the many Commonwealth soldiers in the interest of the United Kingdom and its people. We remember today that a significant number of the soldiers from the Commonwealth who fought and served with the Allied forces were from the 12 battalions of the British West Indies Regiment. I am therefore honored and proud that the focus of this year's ceremony is on the invaluable contribution of our Caribbean servicemen and women who served in both world wars for the United Kingdom and for the contribution their descendants continue to make to the well-being and the rich diversity of British society. They came from various islands, including Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, the Bahamas, Grenada, British Guyana, which is now Guyana, the Leeward Islands, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and my own island home, Jamaica, which was responsible for the largest contingent of servicemen and women from that region. Our Caribbean soldiers served in various areas, including the auxiliary services, the Royal Navy, and the Royal Air Forces. Up you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will, aptly summarizes the positive influence from home which served to fortify the resolve for equality and civil rights by the soldiers who served. By the words of Garvey, they were invigorated to their very core to overcome hardships, uncertainty, and discrimination. This year, as we celebrate the 70th year of the docking of the HMS Windrush Empire, the governments and peoples of the Caribbean joined with the government and people of Britain in recognizing and celebrating the invaluable contribution of the Caribbean men and women who served and have really made a great contribution to the well-being of British society. Today, we stand as a proud people with a strong heritage who continue to make meaningful contributions to the rich cultural diversity of Britain. Our Caribbean nationals here in the United Kingdom sincerely thank you for dedicating this year's Memorial Gate ceremony to the brave Caribbean men and women who served in both world wars. I salute those here present and those who made the ultimate sacrifice for paving the way for all who live today in freedom, in peace, and with dignity. In closing, may I reiterate what has already been said, the words of the Nigerian author and poet Ben Ukri, who I understand is here with us today. Inscribed there, it is worth repeating, as he said, our future is greater than our past, and I believe this. Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all from the Commonwealth. I want to say that the greatness that we think about, the greatness that we talk about today, isn't a greatness because of weapons of war, but a greatness of communal fellowship, a greatness of belonging together. And I want to capture that in the words of the poem by Roy McFarlane, entitled Tell Them. Tell them we were eternally young, believed in that saying, how sweet and honorable to die for the mother country. Tell them we marched on foreign soil against tyranny, even when we were called boys, sambos, and darkies. But we were men proud to heed Kitchener's call. Tell them that gas shells didn't discriminate gas we carried in lungs, luggage that we brought all the way home long after the war, a lugubrious death. Tell them that bombs didn't demarcate where they landed between the dark and the light skin. Bullets didn't curve in mid-air, making distinctions of the lesser race. Tell them in quiet moments we heard our mothers' voices, desired the kiss of lovers, and watched God in the still of the morning before the rising of hell. Tell them of guns, howitzers, and Canadian 60-pounders, the barrage of sounds both day and night, the incessant din bursting through tin hats, into sleeps, into dreams, decades later. Tell them of the silent bullet, whispering in the dead of the night. Tell them our feet rotted in unforgiving mud, of the eternal misery of body lice to be found everywhere. Tell them we were Sikhs with turbans, an Indian cavalry, a British West Indian regiment, everywhere at the Somme. Tell them that our blood mingled and bled together in the front line, on the battlefields, limbs mangled on barbed wires, bodies lost in no man's land. Tell them we died in the collar of our skins, our mouths filled with patois and our blood still warm with the memory of slavery. Tell them of the sons of Africa who came to die, their bodies filled with war cries on the SS Mendy, sinking as brothers dance the death drill side by side. Tell them of the decision to whitewash black troops from victory celebrations and the peace march in London, of the names that were not included on the walls of memory. Tell them of Lionel Turpin, the father of Randolph Turpin. Tell them of Walter Tull, the forgotten hero. Tell them of Norman Manley, a Jamaican national hero. Tell them of Alhaji Grunshi, who fired the first shot for Britain. Tell them of Albert and Ethel James, of Private Harold Brown, of Marcus Bailey, of Herbert Morris, a 17-year-old shot at dawn for fleeing the trenches after his nerves had given way. Tell them after all of this, after the war had finished, we still had to fight in the race riots of 1919. Tell them of Seaman Charles Wotton, who was thrown into the River Mersey and left to drown. Tell them of the Black Tommy of the Somme, no name, but a picture found amongst hundreds, a reminder that we were there, a reminder to tell them all. Tell our children and our children's children, please tell them all. So now, let us remember before God and commend to his sure keeping the millions who died from the Commonwealth and all who have lived and died in the service of humanity. Ever-living God, we remember those whom you have gathered from the storm of war into the peace of your presence. May that same peace calm our fears, bring justice to all peoples, and establish harmony among the nations. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them. Would you all please stand? Thank you very much. I'd like the next thing to be the wreath layers to follow me down to the memorial, and we'll lay the wreaths in order.
Are we just staying here?
Young brothers broken. Right side. That's the way you're looking at
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin the wreath laying ceremony on behalf of His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, Field Marshal Sir John Chapel. Secretariat. Representing Jamaica. Represented by Lord Remembrance. Kingdom's Defence Secretary, represented by Lord Earl Hart. United Kingdom's Chief of Defence Staff, represented by Major General Hill. The Royal Air Force. Brigade. Metropolitan Police. Lord Mayor of Westminster. Commonwealth War Graves Commission. The Royal Commonwealth Ex-Services League. The Royal Overseas League. The King's African Rifles. Represented by a young 98-year-old Captain Nicholl. The West Indian Association Service Personnel. The Jamaican Ex-Services Association. The South African Legion. The Burma Star Association. Bhutan Frontier Force. Gurkha Brigade Association. The Simur Rifles Association. Second Gurkha Rifles Association. And finally, representing the headquarters of the Brigade of Gurkhas. Thank you. That concludes the formal part of the wreath laying ceremony. The next guest wreath layers are a less formal stage, but you're very welcome to come forward and lay your wreaths as you wish. Confederation of Indian Industry. Dr. Sohail, Mill Hill School, the British Armed Forces Sikh Association, the Indo-Commonwealth Ex-Army Heritage, the Sikh Heritage Association, the CNCMC, and on behalf of the Green Foundation.
Hello, hello. No one's gonna listen now. Yeah, well, normally does an awful lot.
All right.